Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing a Jeskai control deck, which is suggested by Carl Bogomers in his article for Gathering Magic. It's a fairly standard Jeskai control build with Spreading Seas to try and battle the Eldrazi menace that has come out of the Proto. It's also got some interesting choices: Blade Splicer, which is occasionally fallen out of favour in this kind of deck, and a full set of Restoration Angels as well, which again have sort of fallen out of favour in some Jeskai builds. So yeah, otherwise fairly standard. We've got our burn spells, we've got our helixes and our lightning bolts, our removal and path to exile as well, electrolyze, counter spells in the form of spell snare, dispel, mana leak, etc. Some revisions to dig a little deeper into the deck. Set up our draws, cryptic command as well, snapcaster obviously, so we can replay our nice spells. Yeah, and otherwise fairly standard list. So let's see how this works out for us. This is our first matchup, and it is against the Jund deck, which is fairly interesting. So let's see how we start off. So our opponent is on the play. This is our opener. We've got a Serum Vision, Snapcaster, Helix, Restoration Angel, and a Spreading Seas, and a couple of land. Obviously need to draw a few more lands to get this going, but fairly happy with this. Obviously Serum Visions can hopefully find us a land or two, so this seems fine against an unknown opponent. Opponent starts off with a Blackcleave Cliffs, so I'm not entirely sure what he's doing just yet. And we're just going to lead off with Serum Visions, I think. Get the video to work. Okay, so lead off an island into Serum Visions. There we see a Spreading Seas and a Scalding Tarn. I think we're just going to bottom the Spreading Seas. I'm not too excited by that, but happy to see a second land on top. And we drew into a second Snapcaster, which isn't particularly useful at this moment in time, but it's fine enough. Comment on leading off with the island. I probably shouldn't have led off with the island, probably should have led off with a Flooded Strand, basically because there's no way we can play Lightning Helix now on turn 2, which might be something we want to do. And as it turns out, I believe it is, as our opponent drops a Confidant down, and there's nothing we can actually do about that with our current hand. And also knowing what we're drawing, so Sacred Foundry, so we've got access to all our colours now, and then I'm going to Spreading Seas to Blackcleave Cliffs and hope that kind of stymies him a little bit. He has a second Confidant revealed with his Dark Confidant, takes 2 and then draws another card. Inquisition takes our Lightning Helix rather annoyingly. So he's going to keep that Confidant for a little bit longer. And then we get to attack for 2. Draw another Spreading Seas, which I am going to put on the Stomping Ground. It's kind of a questionable play. I wanted to see if we could sort of like mana denial him in that sense, using the Spreading Seas, but probably wasn't the smartest of plays. Probably better off just dropping this Blade Splicer there and sort of starting to build up our ground presence. And then also we've got potentially the build into linking with Blade Splicer with the Restoration Angel to get a couple of golems, and that could potentially be very good for us. So we're taking 5 here down to 10. Opponent has a second Confidant. There's a Ring Ravine, which would have been a nice target for a Spreading Seas had we kept it in hand. So I'm searching the white source. It's passing the turn here after we drew a path. So we can path Snapcaster Path, which seems like a fairly good play potentially. Otherwise, depending on what he does, we might want to drop a Resto or something like that. But yeah, at the moment we've potential to path Snapcaster Path, or we can Snapcaster Helix something. Maybe block one of his Confidants, depending on what he does. He attacks with everything. I go for the path Snapcaster Path. I guess to get rid of the Tarmogoyf really. But Might be better to go for the Helix, I don't know. He terminates Snapcaster, so I'm only going to get to cut off one of these at Confidence. And we take 2. So we've given him a lot of lands and a lot of resources, which is kind of annoying, particularly with the Raging Ravine out. Obviously very easy for him to activate that now. And obviously he's got 5 cards in hand, so we've given him an annoying amount of lands, but we have somewhat cleared the board. We're just going to pass here again. Particularly fancy just running a blade for no particular reason. We've got Snapcaster Helix ready to go, or again we can just drop a Restoration Angel depending on what our opponent does. We see, not really looking at these, but yeah. So our opponent topped a Scavenging Ooze there, which we got to see with his Dark Confidant. So that kind of makes me want to use his Snapcaster as soon as possible, because otherwise he's just going to be able to Scavenging Ooze away anything we target with it. It's probably the play anyway though. Snapcaster, target Helix. I'm going to take the Confidant, I think it's probably better for us. So maybe we should have kept it back, given that we know that he's going to play Scavenging Ooze, and that's just going to make it one bit bigger. But yeah, Helix in response to him playing the Scavenging Ooze, so he isn't able to eat it out of our graveyard, and then he gets to drop his Scavenging Ooze down and starts eating up the Snapcasters in our graveyard to make it a 4/4, which obviously takes it out of bolt range. So we've got a Blade Splicer and a bunch of Restoration Angels. Figure we might as well just run out this Blade Splicer, see what happens. Fortunately has Command, which is able to kill the Blade Splicer and the Golem token in one fell swoop, unfortunately, so it's a little bit annoying. Still a 1-for-1 really, but obviously just clears our board, and with 2 Restoration Angels in hand, I think he knows about. There's at least one of them. He knows that we just can't really do anything at this moment in time. He gets to activate Raging Ravine here, and I think we might just be dead here. Sorry. Computer's a little bit slow. I think he might be able to. I think there are 2 creatures in the graveyard. Yeah, he's got his Confidant still in his graveyard, so he's actually able to cast the lethal there. So that wrapped that one up. I think we could have played that better. I think we kind of got a bit too focused on the spreading season, more damage than we should have done. So yeah, I think we could have played that a lot better and maybe got a more favourable result out of that game. Not sure if we still would have won, but it's definitely could have played that better. I think our strategy was a bit off, to be honest. So let's go into game 2, see if that works out a little bit better. Carl's article has like a sideboard guide, which I don't really see that often, which is nice when you're trying out a new deck, just to have some idea about what the cards in the sideboard are there for and what you should think about taking out. His tips against Jund were to bring in 2 Geists and a Path, and take out a Dispel and a Mana Leak, then 2 Mana Leaks, basically because the counters don't do a whole lot and people are prepared for them, and then Geist can be very, very good against Jund, and obviously Path deals with things like Scavenging Ooze potentially, or Tarmogoyf, etc., other big things. So we're going to be on the play here, which is nice. So that hand wasn't very keepable. Just a 1-lander, not a whole lot to do. I think the only land we had was Basic Island. This hand isn't any better. It actually has no way to draw anything, so that's pretty poor. So I think this is another mulligan, unfortunately. So not looking great for us in game 2. Okay, so this is kind of workable. We've got some spells we can actually cast, and we've got Serum Visions to hopefully draw us into a land. Obviously Mulligan to 5 and they're ideal. And we have got the Geist, if we can drop that and he doesn't have a Liliana to answer it, then that's pretty good. Get the Scry, Lightning Helix on top, I don't really want to see that as much as it's a nice card. We are definitely looking for lands here. So, it's Serum Visions, drawn to a Snapcaster, see Mountain and Lightning Bolt on top. Lightning Bolt could be useful, but we just really need to hit our lands as much as possible. So I think we're just going to bottom Lightning Bolt and top the Mountain. There's Blackcleave Cliffs into a Thoughtseize, so he's got some choices there. He ends up taking the Spreading Seas, which is certainly reasonable. I might have made the same choice under the circumstances. Yeah, probably would have done as well, just because that leaves us with not a whole lot to do next turn. Even if we hit our second land, we don't particularly want the Snapcaster for no value, and obviously we're not going to be able to pass until he drops something, so Spreading Seas obviously a nuisance for him and draws an extra card, so I think that's probably the right decision to make. He plays Ogun, Tomb tapped, and then plays a Seal of Fire, which isn't particularly exciting. Now I'm going to follow it up. I drop Geist of St. Traft because we fortunately managed to get our third land, which puts us in a fairly nice position. We've got a path to get rid of anything that he might drop, and obviously Geist is a pretty heavy hitter. So things going better than expected, to be honest, after that Multi 5. Our opponent just drops the Blood Crypt and doesn't do anything, so that seems fairly good for us. We draw a Lightning Bolt off the top, so even more removal for us. Also, we've got our Snapcaster to go with that Lightning Bolt, so we can think about Snapcaster bolting at some point. Attack for 6 here, pass the turn. Opponent doesn't do anything except play another land. Very curious as to what his hand actually is. I mean, I guess just lots of removal, which just doesn't work on Geist. Yeah, we see Terminate to take out the Angel there. Still takes 2. Another land, and passes the turn again, I believe. So yeah, this is going fairly well for us. At 9, I'm happy to just bolt him. I mean, I was keeping the bolt in hand because I think, under the circumstances, I want to have as much removal as possible to clear a way for the Geist to help me win the game, because it's clear that he's not handling Geist very, very well. Also, if he had like a Liliana or something like that he was managed to drop, then that would be something we might want to direct a bolt at. So yeah, happy to keep that back, but under this circumstance, I think with him passing the turn, I'm happy to bolt him here down to 6, and then we've just got the Snapcaster bolt, which can hopefully finish him off if he can't really deal with the Geist attack, which it certainly doesn't seem like it. I don't think he's got any flash creatures or anything that we have to worry about, so he's going to take at least 2 the following turn, and then he's spending a removal spell killing the Angel token. So yeah, I feel fairly confident from that point out that I can just bolt him and finish off the game. So yeah, just drop the bolt there and our opponent concedes, as you see, writing on the wall. Yeah, kind of intrigued as to what was in his hand, but I guess it was removal. It was like bolts and terminates and things that just didn't really work very well against our Geist. So yeah, that shows the strength of Geist out of the sideboard as well. So that worked out pretty nicely. Three. this is our opener. So we've got Sulphur Falls, Arid Mesa, Hallowed Fountain, and we've got 2 Blade Splices, a Snapcaster and a Serum Visions. Can't really argue with that too much. Plays turn 1 Seal of Fire. Again, not very concerned about. Going to lead off with the Hallowed Fountain and Serum Visions. We find a Spreading Seas, and then another Serum Visions and a Flooded Strand. Definitely don't want to land. We've got plenty of lands here, and the deck's already running quite a few lands. Can't quite remember how many. Got 24 lands in the deck, so yeah, I expect to draw lands over the turn, so I'm not really concerned about that. Question is Serum Visions or not. I think I bottomed the Serum Visions. I'm not particularly concerned about digging a bit deeper. What I really want with this hand, as it's currently set up, is a bit of removal, I think. Because if he's going to drop like a Goyf next turn, then I don't have a lot of ways to answer that at the moment. So yeah, I think what I really am looking for is removal. So I'm just bottoming both of those cards. Thought he takes one of our Blade Splicers, which is fine. He passes the turn. Into a Geist of Saint Traff, which is very nice, particularly after last game. We can Spreading Seas here, which kind of puts him off Liliana, and drops us into an extra land. Yeah, so that's pretty good. I don't know if I'd run out the Geist on turn 3 just in case he has the possibility of Lilianaing. I think which is one of the tips that Kyle said in his article. We could Blade Splicer and then lead into the Geist, and then if he does have Liliana, then we're fairly set in that situation. Punt misses his 3rd land drop, which is fairly good for us. We draw Spreading Seas. I could be more aggressive. I could drop Blade Splicer or Geist, but it's just a little bit too tempting to drop that second Spreading Seas on his Blackleaf Cliffs and leave him with a couple of islands and not a whole lot else to do. I think that puts him in a very difficult position. I'm also a little bit worried about Liliana again, which I kind of want to clear the way for my Geist to drop without having to worry about Liliana. So yeah, I thought Spreading Seas, putting him on 2 islands. Also, we know that he just missed his 3rd land drop, so it just seems like that could well just win us the game. Our opponent draws and concedes. I assume he didn't draw a land, so yeah, it was just in too difficult a position there. It might not have been the best play. We might have just been better off getting more aggressive. But I was a bit worried about dropping Geist into potential Liliana mana, and yeah, alternatively we could just drop the Blade Splicer, I suppose. But yeah, as I say, too tempting to just Spreading Seas him after he's missed a land drop, and obviously this puts him in a very difficult position mana-wise, unless he draws a fetch off the top. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. Got to see the power of Spreading Seas and Geist of Saint Traff in this matchup, and yeah, managed to pick up the win overall, so very nice.